Hi everyone, I'm Lisa McClendon, and this is a quick look at writing cut lines. First of all, if you don't know what a cut line is, it's just a newsy name for a photo caption. All it does is tell about the picture and tie the photo to the news story. So here you have kind of a generic picture, but you're going to have a cut line that is going to explain what's going on, taking classes via the Zoom app. And then why does this tie to the story? Because the company is trying to address a number of security and privacy issues. Most photos should have a photo credit as well to give credit to the person who took the photo. These are important because people tend to look at headlines and photos before they read a news story. So a well-written cut line can help serve as an entry point into the story. If there's something interesting in there that readers want to read, it's good to put it in the cut line also, just so that people who look at the picture first might have their interest piqued and might want to go ahead and read the story. So when you actually write the cut line, you really need to look at the picture first. So never write it unless you look at the photo first. And what needs to go in the cut line, kind of the basic stuff that would go in your lead. Who and what is in the picture, where and when was the picture taken, what's going on if it's not really obvious, and then how does it connect to the story. Another thing to remember with a cut line is that you need to work with the headline instead of just repeating something that's in the headline. Pull something else out of the story, give an extra detail or something like that. As for style, cut lines are usually written in two parts. The first sentence is usually written in present tense, kind of like broadcast style, because you're looking at the picture and describing it as if it's happening right now, because you're looking right at the picture. And then the rest is written in the past tense, which is, the piece of information that's taken from the story or is somehow going to link the photo to the story. So first sentence, present tense, second sentence, past tense. And some things that good cut lines do, they tell who, when, and where. So you have a picture like this, who is going on. Basically, anybody whose face you can see in a picture should have a name in the cut line. So we've got this guy, and then we've got these two other kids here. So we've got who is in the picture, and where are they? They're at the Watkins Community Museum. All right, and they were attending a recent workshop. Sometimes it doesn't really matter exactly what day it is, and that's okay. This picture, however, we have 6 people in this picture. We have Al and a couple of friends, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. But we've only ID'd 2 of them. Now, we have the when and the where, or the where and the when. But we have a second from left here, and is it this little guy who's technically the second from left, or is it this guy who's kind of in the front and the second from left? Make sure it's really clear who you're talking about in the picture. Don't go nuts also. Did we really need to say that the mayor was the guy in the center here when he's surrounded by clowns? I don't think so. I mean, I think it would be clear that the mayor is the dude in the suit in this picture. So, give your readers some credit. They will be able to follow along. Make sure you say what's going on if it's really not obvious to people. So here we have a couple of kids, and we know who they are. We have ID'd them. And now we know why they're dressed in sort of old-timey looking clothes, because they are kids for Cowtown volunteers. Okay, Cowtown is a living history museum in Wichita, so it's set up like a 19th century sort of Western kind of town. So that's why they're wearing sort of these old-fashioned looking clothes. But explain that to people so they know. Make sure you avoid the obvious in a cut line. Like I said, give your readers some credit. They will understand this. So we don't need a verb like poses. Okay, so this is the owner of Ladybird Diner here in town. We don't need to say she poses in the middle of a restaurant. How about what happened with her? We could just say Ladybird Diner owner Meg Herford won the top prize. Okay, it's obvious to readers that she's in the restaurant. This is not her house. And the verb poses doesn't really give us any more information there. Here, sometimes what you think is obvious isn't actually obvious. We have Angela Merkel and Petro Poroshenko gesturing during a press conference. Don't ever use that. They're also not gesturing, they're adjusting their earpieces for the simultaneous interpretation so they can understand each other. So that's just kind of a dumb phrasing there. Don't ever use that. Okay, make sure you connect the picture to the story also. So we have a picture of Century 2 here, the convention center in Wichita. Now, we don't need to say Century 2 sits along the river in downtown Wichita on October 2nd, 2013. There's a lot of instances where you're going to use a picture that hasn't been taken recently simply to illustrate a story, and this is okay. This is called a file photo. And, it's perfectly good to use, mugshots of buildings or things like that just to help illustrate a story. But what they're doing is here we're tying it to the story, saying that city leaders are at a crossroads about whether to update the building or build a new one. Okay, so this is why we're running the picture, because there's a story about should we upgrade it or should we just tear it down and start a new one. This one, however, we have the Facebook logo is reflected in the glasses of a user. Okay, duh, I see that. So what? I mean, tie it to the story. Help me out here. And again, this is a file photo. There are file photos, there are stock photos. It's okay to use these to help illustrate a story, but you have to tie it to the story today. You have to let people know, why are we running a story? I'm presuming it's about Facebook because we're running the logo, but who knows, because nobody wrote a decent cut line for this picture. Make sure also that you actually look at the picture. Look at the picture and make sure the picture is okay. Make sure the cut line is matching the picture. Make sure it isn't inadvertently funny. This is one where it looked like Pope Benedict, the previous pope, had horns probably because the picture was in black and white. It pronounced it a little bit more, but they got messages from readers about that. Now, there wasn't really anything, done deliberately in this picture. It just happened to be a funny angle, an odd angle. And then when they put it in black and white, it sort of looked like he was growing horns out of his head. But still, just pay attention and pick a different picture. Also, so we have the Duchess of Cornwall. This is her, Camilla. And Prince Charles. Is it him? No, we cut him out of the picture. Okay, so we have Camilla and a donkey. And Prince Charles has somehow been cropped out of this picture. So pay attention and make sure the cut line actually matches. As with everything else, it is always important to proofread your cut lines because you don't want something ending up in print or online that you didn't intend. This one just doesn't really make any sense. It's a kind of bread that's popular in Morocco, bread. Okay, and again, a simple proofread would have fixed that. A simple proofread really would have caught this. We especially don't want that in a picture with a little kid. That would be bad. Also, some people might think they're being funny. You probably don't want that creeping into print. So give it another look before it goes. Basically, to sum this up, every cut line should say who and when and where, what's going on, don't be obvious, why is the picture running, connect it to the story, look at the picture and make sure it's not, somehow funny or got cropped in a weird way or anything like that, and proofread your cut lines just like you would proofread a story, a headline, everything else.